The courtroom buzzed with tension as Sim Combs, better known as Diddy, took his seat at the defense table on the eighth day of the high-profile federal trial. The cameras were banned, but journalists packed the gallery, scribbling furiously as the air grew heavier with each passing moment. Combs, dressed in a tailored navy suit and gold cufflinks, assumed calm confidence, but something about his behavior was quite unsettling to the court. For the third day in a row, he had been subtle, nodding at members of the jury as they filed into the box. At first, it had been almost imperceptible, just a slight chin dip, a barely there grin. But by the time day 8 rolled around, the nods were unmistakably deliberate and targeted. Prosecutor Angela had noticed first, and her irritation was palpable. She waited until the jury was excused for a brief recess, then stood up and addressed Judge Marian Keller. Your Honor, Rhodes began sharply. The defense is engaging in non-verbal communication with the jury, repeatedly and deliberately. Combs' attorney, Malcolm Trent, objected immediately. He's simply acknowledging their presence. Judge, it is not a crime to be polite. Judge Keller held up a hand. Mr. Combs, is that true? Are you nodding at the juries? Yes, Your Honor, Combs replied, his voice smooth, just showing respect. This is not a concert stage, Keller snapped. Respect here means following the rules. Do it again, and I will exclude you from your own trial. Understood? The room went silent. Combs nodded once ironically and turned back to his lawyer. Outside the courtroom, Twitter exploded. Combs' trial trended globally within an hour. Some users praised his confidence, others called it courtroom manipulation. Theories ranged from harmless court nerves to covert psychological warfare on the jury. The trial itself centered around a conspiracy charge involving international money laundering and alleged coercion tactics. Prosecutors alleged that Combs had been laundering millions through shell corporations tied to overseas real estate deals. Witnesses excluded disgruntled former business partner and anonymous insider who claimed they feared for their lives. Yet, the jury, a mixed panel of 9 women and 3 men, appeared strangely unfazed. Some swore they saw one jury, a middle-aged man with a wear-rimmed glasses, nod back at Combs during recess. Was it admiration, respect, or fear? Psychological analysts flooded YouTube with interpretation of Combs' behavior. Here is a certain silent dominance, claimed one body language expert. He's using non-verbal cues to control the narrative. But Judge Keller wasn't buying any of it. The next day, she issued a court-wide behavioral mandate: no facial gestures, no nods, no smiles. This is a courtroom, she said, not a performance arena. Yet, despite their ruling, Combs found subtle ways to push the line. A slight eyebrow raise, a knowing smirk, the occasional shift of the tie while making eye contact. It was enough to unsettle the prosecutors again. On day 10, Rhodes requested that jury members enter the courtroom before the defendant. If he insists on communicating non-verbally, she argued, we must protect the integrity of the jury. Judge Keller agreed temporarily. By the day 12, something strange happened. 2 jurors wrote anonymous notes to the judge requesting to speak privately. In chambers, they revealed that they felt intimidated and pressured by the Combs' demeanor. I feel like he's watching me every time I move, one juror whispered. Judge Keller reconvened court with a face like thunder. Mr. Combs, she said sharply, you are towing a dangerous line. This is your last warning. Your Honor, Combs replied calmly, I'm just present, nothing more. That night, security footage leaked of Combs leaving the courthouse, flanked by his entourage. Among them was a former behavioral psychologist now working as a body language consultation. The media had a field day. Is Combs using psychological warfare in court? Screamed one tabloid headline. The public was split. Some called it street strategies, others called it sociopathy. On day 15, Judge Keller had enough. Mr. Combs, I will not hesitate to remove you if this behavior persists, she warned. You will forfeit your right to be present. Malcolm Trent stood, protesting. Your Honor, the defendant deserves to confront his accusers, and the jury deserves not to be stirred into submission, she fired back. The next morning, Combs entered the courtroom wearing sunglasses. Judge Keller stopped proceedings immediately. Remove those now. He complied slowly without a word. Then he sat. No nodding, no glances, no gestures. The silence was louder than any outburst. It continued like that for hours. More days, Combs quiet and still, like a statue. And yet, the damage had been done. Jurors walked with a stiffness, speaking in hoarse tone and near the courtroom. Some avoided looking at the defense table entirely. The tension was palpable, heavy, enough to choke on. During closing argument, Rhodes turned directly to the jury. You've seen more than just the evidence. You felt the pressure. Don't let anyone's fame, silence, or stare change your judgment, she implored. The jury deliberated for 6 days, longer than expected. Rumors flew. Deadlock, emotional breakdown, intimidation claims. But finally, the verdict came. Combs was found guilty on 2 of the major counts. As the judge read his decisions, Combs didn't flinch. No nods, no smiles, just stiffness. The courtroom sat in eerie silence. No reaction from the defendant's table. No outburst from the gallery. Outside, fans wept, critics rejoiced, and commenters spun theories deep into the night. But what stayed with everyone most wasn't the charges, the evidence, or even the outcome. It was the power of a nod, the power of silence and presence, and the haunting idea that sometimes the smallest gesture speaks loudest. Judge Keller made history with her verdict, and in legal circles, the Combs Rule was born, a legal precedent against all non-verbal jury communication etched into the books of courtroom conduct. Combs was later interviewed from prison. I wasn't trying to influence anyone, he said. I was just letting them know I saw them. But by then, the gestures had grown larger than him. A symbol, a warning, a mystery. To this day, law schools teach the Combs trial as a case study in courtroom psychology. Some says it's changed nothing, others says it's changed everything. But one thing is certain, in the court of public opinion, a nod is never a nod.